eternal being of light, even in the night. Moon here. Today on the podcast, I have a special guest. I have words of wisdom. No, sounds of wisdom.
That's what it is. Sounds of wisdom.
Also known as my sister. This is Willow.
Hello, I'm Willow.
You want to introduce yourself a little more?
Oh, okay. My name is Willow. My YouTube channel is Sounds of Wisdom, and I am currently on my spiritual journey with my brother.
Yes, we are on very different paths though. So we'll get into that not on this video because that'll be a whole another video for itself. But for this video, I kind of wanted to talk about the power of words. And what I mean by that is kind of how words and what you say can not only affect yourself and what you believe, but the people in the world around you. And I actually picked my sister to do this video with me because we both have experiences dealing with that. We both are on spiritual journeys that are similar yet different. And I just thought that she would be the best person to kind of bounce this off with. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So I basically wanted to start this conversation off with the fact that we both have read the 4 Agreements. My sister has read the whole book. I have not yet. I'm still in the process of reading it. But one of the bigger things that really stuck with me was one of the 4 agreements was to always be impeccable with your word. And by that, they kind of meant to always be sure to say what you mean and mean what you say because it does manifest in the real world, right? And we just kind of wanted to talk about kind of like our experiences dealing with that and just kind of have like a nice back and forth. So I'm going to hand it off to Willow.
Okay. My experience of just using the power of really the tongue in my words is actually an experience that we both experienced. If you watch my brother's last video talking about the car accident, he just really goes into detail of how he was mentally. So during the car accident, I got really hurt, like really just my whole bottom half, everything was just completely messed up. However, I was getting a lot of no's by doctors and them telling me what I wasn't going to do again and what I probably would never be able to do again. However, in those very moments, I told myself it is possible and that I could really do it. So, for example, a limit they had put on me was at the time I was 12, going on 13. They told me that it would take me longer to walk again. However, I knew I was determined and I wanted to walk into my 13th birthday. So literally, as I came out of surgery, going to my grandmother's house, I told my whole family by my 13th birthday, I would be walking. And by my 13th birthday, I was walking. So your words truly do manifest. Once you tell yourself no in your mind, it's over. Literally, like, everything is done.
Yeah. And, like, let's not misconstrue this by saying, like, if you say something's going to happen, it's just going to happen. Mm-hmm. Like, don't think that. A big part of when we say words have power is also and people don't really explain this well because I see that there's a huge trend on manifestation just everywhere. And what happens is they're like, if you speak it, it'll happen. But they don't tell you that you also have to work towards it. It's not like a one and done because see, the universe will only meet you halfway.
Yes.
The universe only meets you halfway. So you have to be able to come up with that other half. So you'll be able to vibrate on that same wavelength of what you want. But if you can't then say, all right, let me go up and go get it. I mean, is nothing going to happen for you. And like my sister said, like, she didn't just say she was going to walk. She also worked towards it and was working every day to make sure she kept her strength to be able to do so. So, because the truth of the matter is, you can say whatever you want, but if you're not going to work for it, it don't matter.
Yeah, it's just saying, because I kind of like to connect with anybody, whether you're religious or not. Faith without works is dead. So if you don't put the work in, nothing will happen. Like, it don't matter how much you tell yourself. You have to vibrate on the frequency of what you want. You can't just vibrate on the frequency of motivation. You have to vibrate on the frequency of discipline and be willing to really put the work in daily. and you will truly see a change. But if you don't do the work, it's not gonna happen.
No, for real. Because, like, even with me, and, like, my journey has been very, like, even my sister can attest to this, like, my journey has been very transformative.
Yes.
I am very much I would go on a limb and say a different person, I think. Or at least on
Evolved.
the path. Yeah,
Evolved
I'm definitely
person.
a different version of myself. And a big journey of that was me being like, I want to change. Because before, like I said, the universe only meets you halfway. Before, I would do things in the guise of changing. However, me, myself, didn't want to change. And though I didn't want to accept that necessarily, deep down I knew that was the case. I knew I had become content with my sadness and content with my trauma, and I was just going to be okay with it, and whatever it was going to be. But when I made it, well, there was a chain of events that happened that I'm not going to get into. But let's just say I had a shift. And in that shift happening, I had to come to the conclusion, I want to change, I want to be different. Because the trajectory my life was going down was not a good one.
No.
No, it was not a good one. Now, don't get me wrong. Me being me, I'm destined to succeed. It's not going to be, ain't going to be no other way.
Okay, eat.
It's not going to be no other way. However, I don't have to struggle to succeed.
And it is easy.
Period.
Yes, I just wanted to add on to what my brother's saying on how you don't have to struggle to succeed. I think in the Black community, we really try to overly work ourselves. Like, in our heads, we literally tell ourselves, if we have something for our children, don't spoil them kids. Them kids gonna be spoiled. Which, okay, let them work for a little bit. But if you have it, give it to your child. Lead the way for them. Don't let them struggle. Like, it makes it harder on them. It doesn't make sense.
It don't do the job you think
it's not. It's going to make them resent you, most likely.
That's a whole nother... Babe, we're not going to get into
different
that.
Time.
We're not going to talk about how generational trauma is based on jealousy, but we're not going to talk about that.
Oh.
We're not going to talk about that.
Okay.
Now, what I also wanted to get into was kind of the negative power of words as well, because... if you've read the 4 Agreements, you know what I'm about to get into. How folks be casting spells.
Unintentionally.
Or sometimes intentionally.
Or intentionally, depending on who you're dealing with.
On folks through their words. Because words are very powerful. As someone who's been affected by words their entire life, because I very much was so, for example, my love language is words of affirmation, right? So for me, I very much feed off of words. Now, I'm getting to the point where I don't need that, thankfully, because it's very toxic to have to be affirmed of your well-being in order to feel deserving of it. So, I'm trying not to do that. However, it's still a process. I grew up in a space where I was consistently affirmed of my academic prowess, right?
Yes.
Consistently. Always praised, always like, you're smart, you're intelligent, you're gifted, right? Then, because there's 2 sides to every coin, you get to a certain point where they've hyped you up to such an expectation that's unattainable, that when you get to a point where you can no longer reach that point because it was never possible in the first place, you then beat yourself up. Because of their words and because of the way they spoke. Because what also happens is people will bring you up when you're up, but they don't say nothing when you're down. So I would have situations where I felt like I was only being talked about if I was winning
achieving
an award.
Something.
Correct. If I was achieving something, that's where I felt seen. And I didn't feel seen anywhere else. So when I got to a point in my schooling where it was a lot harder for me to receive these achievements and accolades, I felt less appreciated and seen overall. And that's the power of words. You have to make your child feel seen all the time. Because there's nothing worse than to live with 2 parents and feel invisible. That ain't it. It's not fun. It's not cool. And it creates this rift, and it creates a complex within said child to where they feel like if they're not achieving, they're nothing. Because even up as, recently as my most recent job, like, sometimes I feel like if I don't have the most sets on the board, then I don't need to be there. Sometimes I feel like if I'm not putting up more sales than everybody else, then I'm, doing worse or not doing what I'm supposed to do. When the truth of the matter is I could be doing my best and still fall flat. And that don't mean I didn't try. That just means I may have fallen flat. Because just because you try your hardest don't necessarily mean you're always going to succeed. Because something's not for you.
Yes. And also, just him talking about, going back to what he said, oh my God, how hard it is to maintain a certain image. Like, once people put you on a pedestal of any type, you have to maintain it. And if you don't, you feel like you're nobody. So that's why I really try my best to be real. My brother, like, it's so funny because sometimes he says I'm like cold-hearted at times, but I just try to be real because I don't want to know. I think a lot of people see spirituality and put you in one category as like, oh, she must be calm all the time, or she must be chill all the time. All she does is meditate. That's not real. Mm-mm. That's not real at all. I don't do that all day. I still get mad. I still will go there with anybody. So it's like, you don't want that. Don't try to keep that maintained. Even, I'll say this, even sometimes do something human on purpose.
And let me tell you this, I also think that, child, we jumping all around talking.
Yeah,
this
we
supposed
are,
to be
but
the power of words, but you know what?
We're gonna
I'm changing the title. It's the power of words and our opinions on spirituality as a whole. Period. So, I think a lot of that, of like the whole spiritual people meditate, is because of what's the word? The glamorization of what spirituality is. Yeah.
It's very glamorous.
It's very glamorous. It's very, I'm a being of love and light. I am above all. I am my higher self. It's very much, they show you the ups and don't show you the downs. Because being a spiritual person is not easy. Because being spiritual forces you to look at yourself in a way that either you didn't before or you didn't want to. Because the truth of the matter is when you're spiritual, you're going to come to some conclusion about yourself that is not going to make you feel good about yourself.
Yes, and not only that, like, my brother and I, we were just talking about this. Like, you're going to look back and be like, I really surrounded myself with people like that?
No, for real.
like, I really was, let me forget. I don't want to forget this is going on YouTube. I really was connected to someone like that in any type of way, and they was living on that frequency. What?
Like, no.
Yeah.
No. And it's crazy because, like, literally, I remember I was doing shadow work one night, and I had just come to a conclusion that, and I talked about this in my, like, 10 things I learned through spirituality video. I straight was like, some of my trauma is my own fault. And
oh, yeah. Yes.
And it sucks because I came from such a place of blaming. I very much was you did this to me, and why would you do that? And you made me feel this way, and you, and you, and you. When really, it was me, and me, and me.
Me.
Because a lot of times, I was doing a lot of interpreting and not a lot of communicating.
Yes.
And to a certain extent, I still kind of, I agree that our environmental, man.
Yeah.
However, I do truly believe that had I stepped up and been like, I feel like A, B, and C.
Yeah.
This is how I'm feeling, and I need help. I think I would have at least been able to communicate my emotions in a better way.
Yes, I also think, just going on that. By the way, y'all, we have the ssame mom and dad, so we grew up in the same household.
Yeah.
communication is something that's very important. The difference between Lil Will and I, we both get our point across, but in different ways.
Yeah.
I might say the same thing Lil Will said, but he's gonna say it angry. I'm gonna say it a little bit more respectful,
which I'm working on.
So what we have to understand is, if you yelling at a person all day, no matter, even if you right, if you're just an ongoing alarm, nobody's going to ever listen to you.
No, seriously.
Turn that alarm off and really try to talk to your parents.
That poem I wrote.
I'm telling you. And also, I just want to talk. Can we talk about parents?
Yeah, okay.
Also want to tell people to show your parents grace.
Yeah.
Your parents are only giving you what they know.
Yeah.
I'm sure your dad don't want to treat you like that. I'm sure your mom doesn't want to treat you like that. I'm not saying all parents are good. However, I am saying parents are giving you what they know.
Yeah.
As simple as that. It's not because they're trying to hurt you or signal you out. It's probably not even that deep.
Now, I will say this. That is not always the case.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's not all parents.
There are some parents out there that are generally evil people. We're not talking about them. We're talking about those who clearly have faced trauma with their own parents and are then putting that on you because A, they either did not see said issues as trauma, or B, they know nothing else.
Yes. Also, I would say ask your parents about their childhood, and you'll respect them a lot more. Like, I'm just gonna say that you'll respect them a lot more. Ask them where they came from. Why? Because I promise you, everybody acts a specific way because of how they were raised. Period.
Yeah.
And stop looking at your parents as your parents. Look at them as people. I remember I told Lil that one time, like, when a person does something, and when I say a person, I mean a family member, a mom, a dad, a brother, a sister, a cousin. If they do something out the way to you, don't look at them as that family member. Look at them as a human, as a person that is genuinely probably going through it like everybody else.
And also something else I learned is a lot of times when people are saying stuff about you, they really saying it about themselves. So just take that into account when you have them moments of being like, man, why would they say that to me? Be aware that sometimes it's not you. Sometimes you have to take yourself out the equation. Because a lot of these parents is children that had kids. A lot of these parents are that. A lot of these parents are people who had to grow up real quick. A lot of these parents had to deal with parents who did them the same way they do you. You have to be able to give them grace, not for them, but for you. Because there's going to come a point where you're going to have to realize you can't be mad forever.
Yeah, and I also think once you hit the age of I'm gonna tell you, I had my enlightenment pretty early. I was what I could honestly say, I was trying to figure out who the Most High was. What really brought it to my attention was the car accident, honestly. Like, we are, when I say we, I mean my family, they are Christians, but they're not strict.
Yeah, nah.
So it wasn't nothing like we was going to church every Sunday. We just knew to say amen after we ate something. I mean, before we ate something. And that was it. Literally. And my mother prayed for us in the morning, but we didn't know what was going on. So what made me really look into it was after the car accident. Because, you know, after you get into something tragic, everybody's like, when it's like tragic, everybody's like, oh my God, you all shouldn't have made it out of there. I had to figure out, why was I saved? Like, that was my real reason. I had to figure out why. I mean, I didn't know who, I'm going to say God. I didn't know who God was. I didn't know who the Most High was. I mean, I prayed every now and then, but that was it. So that's what really got me in, like, deep. That's what got me deep into it. And then once I learned out the path I wanted to take, I was like, oh. So I don't have to just be that. Okay, I could do this. Literally. And I just want to say also, because we are talking about just spiritual things in general. Mm-hmm. If you are spiritual, do not put yourself in a box.
Please.
If you connect to gospel music, listen to it. You don't have to connect what calls you to a specific thing.
Also, please be aware you do not have to change how you dress, what you
Go ahead.
wear, how you talk, the things you say. You do not have to do that to be spiritual. Please don't let these TikTok spiritual people.
Y'all, it's not real. It's not real.
Please don't.
I hope I'm not screaming in y'all headphones, but I promise you it's not real.
Please don't make them feel like you have to wear waist beads and get your nose pierced and get tattoos all up and down your arm. You don't have to do that. Now, there are spiritual people who are genuinely spiritual and do actually dress like that. Fine. But do not feel like you have to do that to fit that narrative. That is not what spirituality is. Spirituality is not a look. It is not a way of speech.
Yeah.
It is a journey. It is a path that you were either called to or choose to go down on. Be aware of that and be okay with that in whatever direction your journey takes you. Even if you end up in a roadblock, because they will appear. There's going to come a point where you feel like you're not evolving. I promise you. I've hit it before. It's going to come and it'll pass. I promise. But the point of it is when you hit that roadblock, because a lot of people, they hit the roadblock and then they give up.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to hit the roadblock and be like, all right, how do I get around it? All right, how do I go through it? What am I going to do? And then, once you push through it, you reach like a new level of enlightenment. And then you figure out like just new things about, because really for what I've learned a spiritual journey is, it's really self-healing is what it really is.
Yeah.
Beyond anything else. Beyond speaking with ancestors, beyond speaking with God, it's really self-love.
Really?
Because when you love yourself, you love those who watch over you as well.
I remember just talking about self-love. I had a teacher named Mr. Jared, and he would say namaste to us also. I also had a teacher named Miss Crawford in elementary school before I even knew what namaste meant. Namaste means the God that is in you is also within me. The light that is in you is also within me. Mr. Jared would say, if you look at everybody like that, you will never want to hurt anybody because you see God in everybody. Also, speaking of God being in everybody, I want y'all to know that y'all are co-creators. That's why when you see people saying, I am God, some people might take that the wrong way. That's why some people go by gods and goddesses. We are the gods and goddesses. It is everywhere. God is everywhere through us, the stars, the trees, those who have went before us. God is everywhere. And because I know God sometimes make people uncomfortable with the word God. It sounds heavy to some. So you could say, whoever you pray to, whoever you believe is up there, or if you even believe it's a you, that's up to you. But just remember, you are a co-creator. You have the power. Like we said, starting off the podcast with your words, your actions, you can change your life.
For real.
Not only can you change your life, you can heal yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
I am known to, I'm not fully holistic. Let me be clear. I don't want anybody to think I'm a holistic liver. However, I do want to say I firmly believe I am a healer of myself. If a doctor tells you have something, don't believe it.
Okay, well.
Let me say this. If something is wrong with you, go to the doctor, please. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is a lot of diseases, can we get into it?
Child, go ahead.
Okay. A lot of diseases are curable. Everything is curable. It was a guy named Dr. Sebi. Let me not just say a guy because he's not ordinary. Dr. Sebi was a healer, and he's a very dangerous man. I'm sure y'all know what ended up happening. He was healing people with AIDS. And his mother actually called him and said, they're going to be very mad at you. Y'all do what y'all want to do with that information. Y'all can heal yourselves, especially if you're black.
No, for real.
And you could do it if you are a medicine lady. If you know what I'm talking about when I say a medicine lady. If you are a medicine lady that works with herbs and other things, you definitely have the power to heal yourself.
Yes, my priestesses.
Yes.
Shout out to the priests and priestesses.
And let me just say, some of us don't even need herbs. Use your words. Your words are powerful. They could break off things. They can also put things on people. I'm gonna head that on to you. When I say they can also put things onto people.
Child. Okay.
Pass that to my brother.
Let me say this. And I'm going to keep it real short and sweet because there's only one way to do it. Be very wary of what you say and who you say it to because you do not know how it's going to affect them. Single thing you say to someone affects them in some way. Be aware of that. Even the things that you think are just a joke, that are funny, that you don't think is that serious or you don't think they should take that seriously, can change someone's entire perspective on themselves in seconds. And the crazy part is 9 times out of 10, like we said earlier, it's completely unintentional because people, but it was done on purpose. They very much belittle the power of words and everything that we do. They are very powerful. The power of the tongue is strong. Be aware of that. Just always think twice before you say something to somebody. When you have a thought of saying something to someone, be like, should I say that? How would that make them feel if I said that? Because we have the power to change someone's entire trajectory of their life off of a single sentence. If I called somebody ugly right now, it would take just that sentence for them to truly believe that they are ugly. If I said, you're fat, just that sentence would make somebody's entire thought process of their body change. And people be like, oh, well, if you have low self-esteem, then that's on you. That's not on me. But the thing is, why do you feel the need? Why do you feel the need to defend your use of the tongue on other people? Why do you feel the need to defend your ability? Because that's another thing with people who say they're like brutally honest. With those people, I don't really trust people who say they're brutally honest because you can be honest without being brutal. You can be truthful without being mean. Some of y'all jokers is just hateful.
So let me say this. Like I said, my brother and I, we are two very different people. It also depends on how you take things.
Yeah.
That matters because somebody could say something to my brother that could probably really upset him, and if it's said to me, I probably won't take it like that. So,
but that's more of a skill you learn.
Yeah, it's a skill you learn, and sometimes people are just born with it.
Yeah,
you know,
I was not.
But one was not. Well, on the other hand, me, I want you to be honest with me. If something don't look right, tell me it don't look right.
Right. Which I'm saying you can do that without being mean.
Yeah, you can.
you can do that. It's a possibility. It's just I think there's a situation where people will be like, well, I'm just brutally honest.
Well, it's different if it's out of spite.
Right. When really is somebody who just likes to be mean under the guise of being honest. That's different. Now, there is a skill that I'm working towards every day. It's a fight about not taking things personally. That is a skill that is going to take me a very long time because I am a very sensitive being. I'm a Virgo. I'm a very sensitive.
Okay, let me say this. So since we're talking about the power of the words, and my brother and I, we are very honest with each other. So I wanted to speak to him directly. You telling yourself that it's going to take a very long time means it's going to take a very long time. If you tell yourself, I'm working on that, it'll come.
Well, okay. The better word, I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Because I am. I'm working on it. It definitely, however, because of how I was previously, I was very much a being of sensitivity. I am still. I am very much in touch with my emotions. I will cry at a dime. It takes nothing. There's also power in that. I've learned to allow myself to do so because ain't nothing wrong with a tear. That's you crying out them toxins. You gotta let them out.
Yeah, I definitely cry more now. I would say on your spiritual journey, and this is not for everybody.
No.
Me personally, I cry. I cry. I really cry.
Yeah.
Now, let me say, do I do that in all situations? No. It's some things where I do handle situations differently. If I feel like it's not space for me to still be crying. that I'm I call it grounding myself. Y'all know the common saying that I'm gonna ground myself in whatever it's in, and I'm gonna stick it out, and I cry on my time. So it just depends. It depends on who you are.
Yeah, for sure. But back to not taking things personally. I had to learn that in order for me to, because I used to have this thing where I took everything too hard. Period. I did, no matter what you said, no matter what context it was in, I took it to heart. Because I genuinely believe that if you said something that I took negatively, it was in order to hurt me. And it didn't matter what the context was. It didn't matter the inflection in which it was said. If you said something that I was offended by or felt like was negative towards me, I would take it personally.
Can I add something?
Go ahead.
So him taking it personally, most of the time when we take things literal and we're like, oh, that was personal to me, it's because we believe it.
Facts.
As simple as that. I had a situation with that. I'm just going to be honest. I have a learning disability called dyslexia, and whenever somebody would come for my reading, I would feel like the earth was crashing down on me. And if somebody said something like, oh, you can't read, or something around that nature, the reason why it would get me so worked up is because I believed it. If you don't believe it, it doesn't affect you. Yeah. That's why if somebody was to walk up to me today and tell me you are the dumbest person on earth, you're dyslexic and you cannot read, I would look at you like you had two heads. You know why? Because I know I can. Back then, let's also talk about putting the work in. Whatever you are not changing, you are choosing. When I was young, let me just say, when I was young and I was told I had dyslexia, not only did I limit myself, I had already told myself I couldn't do it. As simple as that. Once you tell yourself that, like we said, you're not going to reach it. But I remember my mother told me the last time I ever broke down about having dyslexia was this time. An incident had happened, and I remember my mother was like, don't give him anything to talk about. At the time, I didn't know what she meant because I was young. But what she meant was put the work in.
Yep.
Pick a book up.
Yeah.
Start reading, and they won't be able to say nothing to you. And sure enough, nobody said nothing to me because I could read. Mm-hmm. I tried. And I ain't saying I could read no novel extra fast. Y'all, when I tell y'all, I stay on the same book for I ain't even lying, 2 years. And I'm saying 2 years because I don't force myself to read anything fast. Because I know that goes into it, understanding yourself.
Yep.
Just because my brother could read a novel in 30 minutes. In a 30-minute setting.
Okay, well, that's a stretch. But
45 minutes. We'll be in Barnes & Noble and he finished the whole book. Whereas, and it takes me 2 years. If somebody would have said that to me 2 years ago, I would have been like, dang, compared to my brother, I ain't nothing. But once you understand your own brain and understand that you are divinely made, not only are you divinely made, you are divinely protected. You go with the flow. And then once I learned that, I was cool. I was cool with it.
Yeah.
Now, I would be lying if I said it wasn't still times where I'll get something and I'm like, what is this? And I'm confused and I'm scared and I'm like, okay, wait, I need help.
Help me. Which there's also another thing. Ain't nothing wrong with asking for help. Please do so.
Oh yeah.
Please. Don't never be fearful.
I'm still learning that.
Don't never be fearful to ask nobody for help. But I've seen my sister's transformation when it comes to her reading and stuff, and it was essentially overnight. It was very quick. All right. Sorry, our uncle came in. Anyway, like I was saying, the transformation was real quick. 1 minute she went from I can't do it. hollered, ran in the back of the room. I'm confused. To she's reading books and we're going to Barnes & Nobles and she's picking out books with me. So like she said, it's very much like you have to want it.
Yeah, you have to want it.
And if you don't want it, be okay with that. Because
be okay with that. Child, and also, let me just say, if you get into spirituality and you decide, wait a minute, this ain't it, then it ain't
Please. Because some of y'all, some of y'all not spiritual like you think you are.
I can't listen. I'm gonna say this. I can't be the judge of that. However,
I'm just playing.
No, I'm saying I think that when real situations start to happen, you can see.
Yeah, you'll know. Cause
like when the in the eyes of normal people, when the world is falling around them.
Yeah. When you stop being interested in things that other people
interested
in.
The media. When the
my God.
The media way of the world falls.
It doesn't matter. Like, when you hear people talking about stuff celebrities are doing and you're like, I literally don't. Okay. I literally don't. I don't. Okay.
Also, the news. I think y'all can kind of, from this podcast, you could tell the different energies we hold. Be mindful of the news. The news tells on itself all the time.
Child, it ain't even. I don't even watch the news. It's no.
We
point.
don't watch the news anyway.
It's no point.
Yeah.
Because half of the stuff they talking about ain't got nothing to do with us, and the other half of it is fear mongering. I'm not. Child, please
don't be fearful. don't be scared. Don't be scared.
Life's too short.
Yeah. Also, fear naturally brings down the immune system. Be mindful of that. That's why. That's why a lot of people try to scare the world. Don't be one of the ones that end up scared.
No, seriously. That don't mean don't be cautious.
Yeah.
Don't think that.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid.
Be careful, but don't be afraid. There's a difference.
Yeah, they want you to be afraid. For example, Monsters, Inc. This is the same thing with the government, and when they come across a person that's just down for whatever. The movie Monster, Inc. is based on a machine that scares little children. When one of the monsters came across a child that wasn't scared, the machine started going off. The machine was broke. Which in other words means, if you want to shake something up, show them what they doing ain't really affecting you.
Child,
that's when the problem comes in. My teacher.
Oh, okay.
I didn't come up with that. My teacher, Mr. Jared. Let me shout out Mr. Jared. First of all, rest his soul. Mr. Jared literally taught us the dynamic of the world. Y'all are the children. If you become that child that is not scared, you will break the machine. I mean, they might come looking for you. But break the machine.
Yeah.
Break the machine.
Break it, eat the rich.
My brother is the eat the rich type. I prefer to be a millionaire. I want to be a millionaire, baby. Okay, I need to be wealthy.
I'm dead. I'm just
period. I need to be wealthy.
Yeah. But in conclusion, what we basically is saying is, child, to think that this was about the power words and we just talked about spirituality as a whole. Just be mindful of what you say.
Yeah.
Just be mindful.
Be kind.
Please. Just be nice.
And also remember, people who need the most love showing in the most unloving ways.
Please treat people the way you want to be treated.
Yes.
Please. Because, God, just
karma's real.
Oh, yeah.
Karma's real. If somebody do something to you, do not get them back. Do not get them back. Oh, my gosh.
Please.
Don't.
Save yourself. Because the way... Let me tell you something. Stuff don't go unpunished. I promise you it doesn't. You may think just because you don't see it, don't mean it ain't. I promise you.
Well, just because you don't hear about it,
don't mean it didn't. I'll tell you something. Ooh, it always get them. It always gets them.
Yeah.
And not even on no malicious. It's on some. I wish you peace. It's not even on no malicious like you don't want to fool with me kind of stuff. It's more of a what goes around comes around. That's all.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Those little cliche things people say, it's really true.
No, for real, because it sounds corny.
It sounds corny, but it ain't.
It's really facts. Like when people tell you that you shouldn't care about what other people think,
that's real.
Like actually you shouldn't, because it really don't matter, and that includes the positive stuff. just get into that, how you shouldn't need affirmation from others to be aware of your own well-doing.
Yeah. I don't want the podcast to get too long.
Oh yeah.
If we could, I wonder if next time if we can do, shoot, I'm already inviting myself back. But what I'm saying is, if we could do a video on how our love languages plays a role in what we didn't get as a child. Because okay. We're gonna get into it.
Yeah, we'll do another video. We'll do another video. But that's all we have for y'all today. This is certainly a longer podcast than any of the other ones. It's also a little more lighthearted than the other two.
Yeah. Okay. Also, since he just said that, I think it's a little clear that I'm a light worker. Anybody who knows what that means, I'm a light worker. Will, he's more of the moon. Yeah. I'm more of a light worker, so we mix well together. Yeah.
We very much opposites, two sides of the same, the whole thing. But yeah, if you, I don't even know if I should recommend the other two podcasts. Listen to them at your own discretion. I'm gonna say that.
Yeah, because I was throwing up and crying by the time I finished that. Maybe because it was literally about my situation and I was in it with him and he's my brother. I don't know. It messed me up.
Yeah, she was crying all day. And she came to see me and was still crying. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? But yes, that's all we have for you today. If you guys want to listen to the other podcast, do it at your own discretion. I also have some covers and stuff you guys can listen to if you want. I'll be linking Willow's channel in the description. So you can check out her stuff. Her stuff's real serene, real meditative.
Pretty much.
My stuff's a little more releasing, I'll say.
Yeah, he's a releaser.
I'm a releaser.
He's in that part of the journey.
Stuff is coming at.
He's a releaser.
So, yeah, that's all we have for you today. So we'll probably, I don't know when Will will be back. Whenever she wants to come back, she can come back. But as far as what I have to say, that's the end. I wish you all nothing but love and light. Ashe, everybody.